bring up.
Like, oh my God.
Hello, Discord.
Hello, Mr. Maxwell.
Hello, Mr. Maxwell.
Uh-oh, we got the Mr. Maxwell going now. I know I'm in deep shit.
Didn't the Beatles comment on a Mr. Maxwell? Just like,
Yep, I think there was, yep.
was that about you?
I doubt it, considering I don't even think I was born yet.
Yeah, you
Oh,
were.
come on. I seriously think you're old enough for that.
Shut up.
He would have been like 5 or 6, but he was born.
The
Oh.
legend before the man.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello, live with the Shaman. Yeah, a couple of disclaimers out of the way, of course, as it were. Live with the Shaman is an adult channel where we are quite liable to talk about things that are not politically correct. We're probably a little bit of a rated R situation, so if you don't like your kids hearing strong language, maybe you might want to plug in your headphones or, well, shove them out the door to go outside and play, which people don't do these days, because after all, we can't have our kids going outside and playing. We also live simulcast on Discord. The non-expiring invite is in the description of the video. And hell, I guess that's about all of the disclaimers. Today's topic is the shaman's higher self. Discord, what do you think about the shaman's higher self? By the way, you don't have to be shaman to join in our topics and kick in your 2 cents. We like to hear from you. So, what say you? What is the higher self, first off?
Can you answer that?
Okay, the higher self is when you get more attuned with the cosmos, the nature, Mother Earth, and understanding what is going on besides just human. You have to be in tune with everything, not just a single thing.
Very good. Anybody else?
Higher self. Well, to me, with what he just described, that's an everyday thing for me. The higher self for me is like if I'm fixing to go into a ritual or I'm going to go into a circle, I will do a higher self so I can communicate with the people in the circle at the level where the gods needs us to be.
Actually, semantically speaking, you just said the same thing.
Okay.
I see the higher self as the me that I aspire to be, the me that I expect myself to be.
Okay.
Let's see. It's the only question in this.
Oh, come on, Coon Ass. They bring it in.
In my opinion, the higher self is what you strive for to be a better person, to help others that can't help themselves, and to live your life with good deeds only.
Are you ready for this?
Bring it on.
Everybody's saying the same thing.
Right.
I know. Just in a different form and fashion.
Yeah.
Uh-oh!
Yep. So, I guess we could say program done then. We know what the higher self is. We can just bugger off, right? No, I'm just kidding. But do we do that? I mean, on a daily basis. Let's think about what we're doing. And I know that in our broadcast right now, we have shamans, we have a druid, and we have a Catholic. Boy, don't we make a team. But the higher self is not a shaman thing. Granted, in the Grove of the Celtic Shaman, it is something that we teach our first years all the way up to live with the higher self. Now, there's a difference in living with the higher self and becoming mixed up in society's chaos, rhetoric, spreading of bullshit, and the lack of understanding of what the higher self is, and living that higher self before we speak, before we write, before we do, thinking of the higher self before we prove how stupid we are and how ignorant we can be. Anybody have any comments on that statement?
Have a great week. You said it all.
I mean,
Well.
yeah, you know, pretty much.
This topic just went out the window.
Poof, yeah, you know.
Time to move to something else.
Okay, move on to something else. Let's see. Drum.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Yeah, I watched it.
Don't say squirrel or Lester. That's roadkill. Food.
Hey,
Hey,
Alligator. Alligator.
that's roadkill.
that's roadkill.
Yeah, buddy.
Somebody runs over an alligator with a vehicle, that's not only roadkill, that's a fucked up
Super
automobile.
Uh-huh.
Well, it depends on the size of the
body
alligator.
shot.
Yeah, it depends on the size of the alligator.
I ran over one that was about 6 foot long one time, got out the car to go cut his tail off, and some bitch turned around and looked at me like, "What you want?"
That's when you get back in the car and leave real fucking quick.
That's what I did, real quick. I said, "Oh, okay, not today, bro."
So, what kind of advice can we give to people that watch our stream and watch our videos, are just listen to the podcast? What are some of the things that we can offer to help people find their higher self? And it gets real quiet.
What was that question again, Don?
Okay, I'm guilty of stuff on Facebook lately because I get passionate about stuff and other people get passionate. But really, like you said, we have to start thinking a little bit better before we act and to try to do what's good for not just us, but for others.
Try not to let your mouth overload your ass.
Not that I've ever been responsible for my mockingbird mouth overloading my hummingbird ass.
Right.
I said D. Yep, we all like that sometime or another.
I think the whole thing starts with defining for yourself what exactly do you find right or wrong? What do you find to be the person that you would like to be, or the spiritual place that you'd like to get to? But it all starts with an examination of yourself.
An examination
Yourself.
of self, okay.
Yeah.
And that's where we all differ.
One person thinks it's right, another person thinks it's wrong. Agree to disagree on some things.
We get back into the subject of personal truths.
Yep.
Well, we look at the subject of personal truth. We look at the subject of assumed right and wrong, which comes down to each other's individual morals. Okay? Morals are as personal as honor. My morality, my morals may not, in most cases don't, match that of someone of mainstream society. for the most part, I'm very thankful of that. No. But yeah, I mean, if we're thinking about, and I kind of keep it somewhere along the lines of shamanism, but if we think about the shamans of the ancients, okay, our ancestors, the shamanic ancestors, they did not involve themselves in the rhetoric of social politics. The shaman ancestors did not involve themselves in the rhetoric of the running of the tribe. So if the chieftain, the chief, the leader of the tribe or what have you, would come to the shaman and say, "What do you see?" Then the shaman would vision quest and come back with what they see. But herein lies the responsibility of the shaman to stay neutral, to stay unbiased, to stay someone that says, okay, I see all three sides to this coin. Which side do you walk on? The shamanic philosophy is one that says, okay, I have an opinion. Oh boy, do I have an opinion. But I also realize and accept that opinions are like assholes, and most of them stink. And everybody's got one. Unless you have the medical disease where you don't have an asshole, and then I feel sorry for you.
I think you've been listening to me too much, John.
But you know,
that's one of my favorite sayings. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and they all stink.
And they all stink. And I mean, you know, you and I have laughed about that for over 20-something years. You know, and it's true. It's an absolute truth. When we start talking,
I used to have a T-shirt that said that too.
Yeah, you did. But when you're talking about living with a higher self, everyone in this broadcast has said exactly what the higher self is. You're not putting yourself above anyone. I am no better than anyone else. But how I strive to be comfortable with me. If I say something in a group of people that causes a riot because of my own selfish ideas and philosophies, I'm not living in my higher self. If I take something that someone else has said and I spread that information without thinking about the consequences of spreading that information, I'm not living in my higher self. One who lives with their higher self says, okay, you can talk out your ass because your mouth knows better if you won't, and I'm okay with that. Hell, I may even get a giggle out of it. But if you think I'm going to spread it, you're out of your fucking mind.
Mm.
And I had someone that I've known for years send me a Facebook PM that said, spread this. Tell everyone. Mark Zuckerberg is a communist, and he's a pedophile, and he's all of these other things. And I came back to him and I said, no,
No, he's not.
Zuckerberg's not a
Where's your
communist.
Where's your proof?
You know, he's not a communist. Have you ever listened to the man speak? Okay, yeah, he became uber rich, uber young, and he can be an asshole. And there has never been any reports of him being a pet. Do you even know what a fucking pedophile is? I've been accused of being a pedophile, and it's very damaging and very dangerous. So I'm not going to spread your rhetoric. In fact, I would appreciate it if you would not spread unjustified, uneducated, unproven rhetoric to me. Oh my God, this person went batshit crazy. I'm like, okay. Go over to your Facebook page, go to friend, draw down, unfriend. And that is my thought for people that want to bring me into anything other than the higher self. And I'll say that to anybody. I don't give a damn how long I've known you, how good a friend you are. If you are going to try to pull me down with you from my higher self, I got better things to do. What do y'all think?
Agreed.
Agreed.
In a nutshell, that's, yeah. There's not much more.
But I think the question of the topic, how can we help others? And guys, y'all need to understand, and those of you that watch this pre-recorded broadcast later, when I use the term uneducated, I do not use that term lightly, and I do not use it as a destructive term to down anyone. Because anybody that knows me knows when it comes to reading books, when it comes to reading documents and manuals, I'm highly uneducated in being able to read because of my reading comprehension and my dyslexia. So in that aspect, in the aspect of being able to read a book, I'm uneducated. But if it takes me 3 hours to read a document with proving context in it about an individual that some ding-dongs are going off online about, I'll spend the time to read it and reread it. Sometimes I'll even have my computer read it to me. But teaching someone to live in the higher self, that's a whole different context.
Yes, I have a.
Go ahead.
Good, Jamie.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, I've got a friend that comes down and she's wanting to learn paganism and other ways, and trying to teach her how to get into the spiritual aspect of the higher self. It's hard to do. And she's like, she can't grasp it. Or she can't feel it.
She hasn't made the decision to feel it.
Right.
To get to the higher self, like you said, you have to be comfortable with yourself to get in tune with the higher self when it is needed or when it is time to be on that side.
Well, yeah, you have to be okay with you.
And that's the problem with most of society today, is they're not comfortable with being themselves.
Well, you know, one of the things that I found, step one, okay? Step one in acknowledging and learning the higher self is recognize, acknowledge, and accept the bullshit, the rhetoric, and the mistakes you made earlier on in life. I mean, hell, I'm 58 years old. I've made a shitload of them.
Oh boy, haven't we?
I could fill a book with the bullshit.
The
But,
days of our lives with Pegasus.
oh yeah, we don't even want to go there. But
But
I'm a better person today because of it. Would I have done anything different? I don't think so, because then I wouldn't be where I am today. But when you're learning to live with the higher self, you have to embrace what and who you were. You have to recognize, acknowledge, and admit to yourself the things that you did. I don't need to admit anything to society. I don't need to admit anything one way or the other. I mean, we joke about me being a whore dog when I was younger. Okay, been there, done that. Okay. But the who I was, the thing that went on, the things that went on in my mind, the mistakes I made, the things I may have said to people, I'm the one that has to live with that. And the only way I'm going to find the higher self is to change my actions, my reactions to others' actions, and my actions and reactions to myself.
I think quick daddy up. Wait. Quick daddy up. Get daddy up.
Cindy, shush.
Sorry.
I was trying to figure out what the hell she was doing.
She's telling the dogs to go wake Paul up.
Oh. Yep, I'll leave that one alone too.
Tell me about it.
So, here's a question. What do you do to find your higher self? What actions, lack of actions, what do you not do that you used to do? If you're comfortable talking about it, if you're not, that's fine. But those of you watching the pre-recorded broadcast, think about it. And if you decide you want to post something in chat for one of us to read later, or if you want to PM one of us to talk about it, that's fine. We're available. But what are some of the things that you do to accept who you were, accept the mistakes you made, embrace the fuck-ups that you committed, and move forward to a better understanding of the higher self, to not to redo those things, if I said that right?
You really have to, I have to go back and admit to myself that, yep, I fucked up. And yes, it was really my fault, not someone else's. I have to own it. And then I have to forgive myself for it and move forward and change it. Otherwise, you're just spinning in the same.
Yep. Running very fast in a circle with one foot nailed to the floor. You first have to, like you said, forgive yourself. Anybody else?
Well, when I found you guys and everything, I had done things way back when that I'm not very proud of, things that I have embraced lately and understood that I needed to get past those points.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think in search for a higher self, you have to understand.
I think Jamie lost her button.
It is forever changing, is what I was saying.
Button forever changing.
It is a little gray bar on the bottom of my screen that, for whatever reason, goes
Goes blank.
probably
going
telling
there.
y'all that what I'm saying really wasn't all that important.
Actually, I wanted to hear what you had to say, but I had to give you shit about your button pushing.
I don't. Where was I? I was saying that you kind of have to get to a point where you realize that nothing is permanent.
Right.
You don't get to a place where you're like, ta-da, okay, I'm perfect and I'm now a higher self and I am not, I don't have any more growing or learning to do.
Oh boy, have we all met people like that. I mean, once you've reached a plateau, finding the higher self, there is no plateau.
Exactly.
So all in all, and what do y'all think about kind of closing on this one? All in all, finding the higher self is a decision. It's a choice. It's a choice to change the rhetoric. It's a choice to make the decision to live more within a truth that you're comfortable with. And your truth may not be my truth. But at some point, I have found, me personally, I have found that there is a universal right and wrong. That there is a universal truth to finding the higher self. To me, the universal right and wrong, the universal wrong is attacking someone else for the way they believe. The universal right is the understanding, not always agreeing with, but the understanding and acceptance that what you have to do for you, as long as it doesn't hurt or harm anyone else. And I'm not talking about, I don't know, what your post offended me. I give two shits about that. What I'm talking about is what I am doing, does it offend me? Would what I'm saying, would I be comfortable saying to someone that I really care about?
Boy, Don, that was deep and that was absolutely dead on.
You know?
Examining your higher self or becoming your higher self is honestly exactly what you just said, and I'm going to reiterate it just for point. It is that you have got to look at yourself and pick out those things that are okay with you and things that are not okay with you.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's like, do I agree 100% completely, wholly, totally, in text, do I agree with the things that I'm saying or doing? And do I think that what's good for the goose is good for the gander?
And am I really doing those things?
Right.
And the other thing, the old saying, to thy own self be true.
Yes. Yes. Because the millions of times I've said this, at the end of the day, you have to be okay with who and what is looking back at you in the mirror. Because by the time it's all said and done, you're all that's left.
I think that's what leads to a lot of problems in our world too, is that people get pissed off, but they're not pissed off at anything other than themselves because they're not living in a way that they believe they should.
Well, they take it out on everybody else. You know, how many times have we gotten pissed off at something or someone and taken it out on those closest to us? That's absolutely wrong in my book. It's wrong for me to do, and I've done it. But when you talk about the shaman's higher self, it's not just a shaman. Human beings can be so much better. They can be so much better just by congruency. And if you don't know what congruency means, look it up. Congruency, incongruency are two very, very powerful words with very powerful meanings. When you are incongruent to your words and you're incongruent to your actions, and there is no congruency to the things you're doing, all you're doing is proving yourself to be lower than the very thing in which you're maybe trying to stand up against. You don't find the higher self for anyone else but yourself.
Right.
Once you're okay. Now, I'm sorry, but if you're okay going out and destroying people and killing people and destroying people's property, and you're actually totally, completely okay with that, I'm going to really hope that maybe you'll seek help and seek somebody to talk to, because in my book, that's a bad way to be. You have to be okay with yourself to find your higher self. At the end of the day, like you. Be you. And if being you is spreading trauma, then when you look up and nobody else is there, you have nobody to blame but yourself. The shaman's higher self is someplace that every shaman that I know of strives to be on a daily basis. Well, folks, I want to thank you in Discord. Absolutely, you guys have been great. I am really glad we've started using Discord. It really helps with being able to verbally input and say what you want to say. And we look forward to hearing from you people that watch our pre-recorded broadcast. If you watch them at all, you know, click the like, click the dislike, click the subscribe, click the I don't give a shit if you want to. Other than that, have a great week. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time here on Live with Shaman.